If this is not comfortable, you can come to your knees. We're gonna come slowly down onto our belly. Nice. Inhale, Cobra Pose, so push the floor away from you, bring your chest up. For a modification, you can use the elbows. Exhale, come back down. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, push the floor away, bring your chest up as you gaze to the ceiling. If you want to straighten your arms, you can. Exhale, come back down to your belly. Toes touch. Bringing your hips back, arms out in front. And bring your forehead to the mat, whichever is comfortable for you. Just take a moment here. And those affirmations we said earlier, bring those back to the focus of your practice. Just take a moment to breathe. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, other side. Try it. Yeah, lift the legs. Coming back up. Arms out to a T. Let's gaze to our right hand. Nice. Bringing the knees back together. Our back toes. And we're going to try down dog. You're going to push the floor away as you lift your knees and your hips up for down dog. Keeping your knees bent, if that's more comfortable, or straightening them. Take a deep breath in, and exhale, bringing the knees back down to the mat. Inhale, bring your chest up halfway, gaze to the floor. Exhale, forward fold, touch your toes. Inhale, slowly roll up, both hands to the sky. Breathe. Exhale, hands come down.
Right? So the first thing, I talked about it a little bit, which is understanding the petition. So it's number one. So if your child is taken into custody or Child Protective Services comes to your home, the first thing you need to know is what are the allegations, because that's where your conversation should start and end.
Amen.
Right? Can we say don't talk, please?
Okay, yeah, that part too.
Let's just say, no, you never have to.
Well, these people.
Let me just say this, y'all. Even though there is no law, we don't Miranda in the context of CPS. When we say Miranda, those are those laws that say you do not have to speak to a police officer, right? Unless you have an attorney present, right? That you have the right to remain silent.
While you have a right to not talk, and that can often be a very powerful and right decision, they do have to talk to your kid, and they will. Many states, I think pretty much all the states, say you can't close the investigation until you talk to your kid. I don't know if that's true in California or it's true here in DC, it's true in New York. So, what I have sometimes said to people is like, your kid. And, me as a kid, my parents could, from a very young age, talk to me and explain to me what was going on and what I could and could not talk about, right? And so that's another thing to keep in mind, is it's also just not just about you got your kid, and to what extent can you be talking to your kid, because they will go to the school and talk to the kid while you're not there, and the school will give them access to the kid.
Yeah. And so as we deepen our resistance to Child Protective Services, if you have a Child Protective Services case, yes, Lisa is right. The tactics is to go to school, go talk to that child. But if you know that, you should go pick your child up immediately. You should bring your child home. You should ask for virtual classes at home until your case is closed, because at this point you are waiting out child protective services. You don't want to give them, you don't want your child to speak to them because they are trained to get information. Ask questions in a way that will elicit information, and you might have had the best conversation with your child to say, this is not what we talk to people outside of our house about. But they come with coloring books, and they get everything out of your child. So that is what we have to be able to completely resist. And like, both of Keisha and Lisa said, don't talk to them. Try to bring your children home. Stop, just try to block them at all costs. But again, if neither of those things work and you were able, they spoke to you, they spoke to your child, they spoke to collateral, all of these people, and now they have a petition to take your child away, you need to know what everybody said and what that knowledge is that they are using against you so that you can build your case. Because they have built, a case, and now you build your own case. Is when you're communicating with that social worker, or your attorney, hopefully, is communicating with the social worker to send it in writing. Send it the medical records, attach it, say, here are the medical records, right? And so you have a paper trail of the information, because social workers are notorious for not including that information. But if you can go to the judge and say, Your Honor, I actually gave this to her on this day, here's the email, right? Then you're able to come in with your power and take back your power. So at this point, you should understand your case. You should have all of your evidence to be able to, push back in court. But we have to understand that is not the only place we have to win, right? We have to win outside in the court of public opinion. And we need them to understand the problem. And so you need to understand who your opponents are. Who are the people that you are walking into the courthouse and going against? And so you need to know your judge's full name, right? If you want to ask when did they become in office, when are they up for re-election, all of those things. Who is the prosecutor? So this is the person that represents the CPS worker. Who is that person? And then who is the social worker? Who is their supervisor? Who is the director of the agency? Who are the foster parents? Right? Each and every person, you need to know who those people are, and then you need to know their address. And I'm not talking about their address at the office. Their address at home. Because we need to remember that they came to your home and took your child unnecessarily. And at this point, now that you've built your case, you know it's false. And so you need to make this problem and put it on their doorstep legally. Right. We need to put it on their doorstep legally. That means protesting. We saw a baby come home in a week.
Yes. Wow.
Let's talk about, right? We saw a baby come home in a week. It was a white family, but they put out kidnapping. This person is a kidnapper. They put the face of the social worker of the law enforcement agency on the flyer, and they went and told all of their neighbors that there's a kidnapper amongst you. How many people would keep coming to work if all their neighbors knew they were out here kidnapping babies? Right? So that is how we have to deepen our resistance to child protective services. A simple Google search on the form, there's True People search, so it's wonderful. Right? You just put in their information, you put in where they're at, and it pops up all of their information right there. And then you need to Google their name, see what dirt comes up on them. We were able to find in Wilmington the attorney that is saying that this mother's rights should be terminated. She was out here stealing money. I mean, I don't feel like you should be able to talk to us, right? And so we have to be able to get just as much information on them as they have on us. And before I move on, is there anything else y'all want to say about? No? Okay. And then, when is your next court date? And then what part of the process are you in? Like, did they just take your child where you are able to prove and go against the petition to say they did not have imminent, danger at the beginning? Are you at adjudication? right? Are you at disposition at this point? Now this judge is going to tell you all the hoops that you have to jump through to get your child back, right? Or are you at a review where all of the other process has done and now you're just going back to court to see if you've checked off boxes? So you got to understand what part of the process you are in before you can fight back as well. And then this is so important, is who is your army? Who is your army that is going to now know that you can say, this is what's happened to me, this is where I need to go, this is who I have to speak to, and who is coming with me, because we cannot do this alone. They will arrest us. They will tell you that we're intimidating folks, right? If we do it alone. And so we have to say who's our army. And so I want to think about who target people without the army. Yes. They target people without community. Yes. But we cannot allow that to be an excuse anymore. If they take your child, you should walk to every store in your neighborhood, knock on every door in your community until you can find somebody to stand with you. Period. Like, we can't allow the lack of community to stop us from being able to organize together. Right? And so write it down. Who would you call if your car broke down? Call that person to come fight with you for your child. Who, if you go to the grocery store, can you come fight me? Get some flyers, all right? And then you got to write your truth. Because when we live in a state of trauma, we tend to say it all, right? We tend to say it all. You know, we start from years ago and we walk it through, right? But think of it as an elevator speech. If I'm on the elevator and I need this person, when they get off this elevator, remember who I am. Remember what they have done to my child. And then take the information that I've given to them and do something with it. That is your narrative. Pull out those highlight points. This is what happened, like with Miss Sellers. We just saw that. I went into the hospital, didn't do anything wrong. I was about to leave. And they, officers and security guards stood around me and ripped out my hands for no reason, because they said I was impolite. Yeah. After all of these months, I still don't have my child back. You can go to my website and you can read more, but right now, let me tell you what I need you to do. Right? And so we got to be able to then call those people to action. Call them to action and let them know what it is that you need them to do. And then, and think about those things too, as we think about our cards that we're going to write down of how can we be important, how can we give back to our communities, is asking people in the stories and the cases that we know are currently active, what can I do? How can I be of assistance to you to get your child back?